Hey, Dental Nachos, it's Dr. Nacho or Paul here on Friday afternoon with a special guest here, right in Center City, Philadelphia. We have our background music for us here, city music. So we wanted to bring you a special segment, Sharing Nachos with Dr. Nacho and his special friends. And I have a really special friend, Dr. Steve Rasner. Thanks for being on today, Steve.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
I'm excited to talk to you. So we're going to dig into what Steve does. And, normally we're sharing regular nachos, but it's beach body season, right? So we can't have any actual nachos, well, they're actually to Friday, so this is straight vodka. So I'm ready. This is what happens on a Friday for Dr. Nacho. So I've had the pleasure of knowing Dr. Steve Rasner for over 7 years. I invited him to speak at my study club when we were in the Rising Dentist Study Club of Philadelphia, right here in Center City, with 60 or 70 people. I was mesmerized by the content that he provided to our audience. It really opened my eyes. We're going to talk about treatment planning, practice management tips, challenges facing a new dentist. And I did tell him, Dental Nachos, a little bit about our classification system. So I am a medium-aged dentist, 8 to 25 years in practice. And even though he does not look it, Dr. Steve, how many years have you been practicing?
Just a mere 39.
39 years. So you got me. It's usually when I lecture, Steve, I try to go around the audience to make people feel good, but also get a good joke out of it. And, I'm 41, so it's still about as long as I've been alive.
I can be your dad.
Dentisting, yeah, right, exactly. You've been dentisting as long as I've been on planet Earth here. So tell us a little bit about what you do, clinical dentistry, also with speaking and coaching.
Yeah, so I've been running a practice in Southern New Jersey for 39 years. It's a private fee-for-service practice. I think it's important that you know that how the whole speaking thing came for me is that I graduated from Penn in 80, and I wasn't at the top of the class, man. I was literally at almost the bottom. And nobody was offering me post-grad programs. So I went back to Jersey because the only person that would take me, and he was on the fence, was my dad. And I practiced with him, and my self-esteem was in the toilet. And because of that, I took an amazing amount of C right out of the gate.
I'm glad. I just want to pause here just to share with our Nacho Nation, because I encourage them to do that. So we're back in 1980. You got to work with your dad like I did. So we kind of had how were dentists finding jobs as your classmates? One of the things I do with Del Nacho is help find jobs, and we're going to talk about you're looking for an endodontist later to join you. So we didn't have Facebook back then.
Right.
We didn't have Twitter. How are the people in your class finding?
Truthfully, I had 3 jobs.
Okay.
I worked for my dad. I had a job right here on Market Street, about a day or 2 a week, and I worked some other offices. Really, the newspaper back
then, gotcha.
You look under opportunities, you look under dentist, and that's the way it worked.
And we'll talk about a lot of topics today, but both of us know Lincoln Harris. You have been kind enough to help mentor both of us. When Lincoln was here, he said to me something very profound. I thought that, nobody really sees what it takes to, for someone to get to where they are. They just see the end product, and they think whether that was maybe good luck or they,
Sure.
So you're starting off by sharing, you have this fee-for-service practice in South Jersey, what people want. Now you're taking us back to your origin, superior. So tell us about that C earlier.
Yeah, so, it's interesting because I had this sterilization assistant in my office. So we all have offices with different levels of people, or hygienists, front desk. One of the lower entry levels into my organization is a sterilization assistant, if you want to be clinical. Well, she's really amazing because she always, every single day on her own, on our hard written schedule, she'll write this inspirational quote. I never told her to do it. She just does it. And one of them recently was, every expert in the world was once a beginner. I mean, I know it's not profound, but it's pretty cool. And that's what happened. I started taking C, which is a lot different today, Paul, than it was in 1980. Because in 1980, most of the C from 1983 or 4 was, come see the great stuff we can do if you refer to us.
Yes. That is show and tell. See, my 4-year-old is show and tell. So we can show and tell us today. We're talking about what she was bringing. So show and tell, but not much show and learn how to do.
Not show and do.
Yeah.
And the first continuums really started about mid-80s. And the first one that I ever took was University of Pennsylvania, and it was a 3-year continuum on perio procedures. And if you brought a patient, you were allowed to, do the clinical work. And so I was mesmerized by the ability to change my skill set. It just grew.
And it was out there for you just like it is today. And what you're saying is so important. And we're going to talk about the challenges facing new dentists or any dentist. And I love helping them. And one of our models here at Dental Nachos is try to be kindly annoying, right? Kindly help people out of their comfort zone.
Sure.
And you're sharing back in the 1980s, no different. You had just taken an expensive CE course, 4 years of dental school, but that wasn't enough. And you had to go and invest in yourself after dental school. And I just think that's an important thing to point out because that's true today as well.
Well, the short story is I became immersed in, I just love, honestly, it'd be like an athlete. It was like I was getting really better at the sport. And in my case, the sport was dentistry. I could tell I was changing. And another thing is when you take these CE courses and when I do, let me finish the thought.
Sure.
And the thought is I started having this killer practice. I mean, it's 1980. And, back in 1980, I'm not kidding you, like $100,000 a year practice was a big deal. And all of a sudden, I'm going up every year by 200,000 and three. And it wasn't much. It wasn't a couple of years I was doing, $500,000 a year. And somehow that news got into the industry, because I'm in a very challenged area of the United States. The area that I actually live and practice in was once ranked by USA Today as the second worst place to live.
So one thing I'd like to just share is that there's a few important Steves in my life. One is Stephen Brown, and he taught me at Einstein, and I thought, oh man, he just does well because all of his patients come in limousines and are fancy executives. And what you'll share with the Nacho group is that the patient's socioeconomic status not related to the type of treatment they'll accept.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hope to be in this forum. I love what Paul has done with Dental Nachos, and all you listening, I have just immense respect for the communities you build, because you don't have to do that.
We should do this every day.
And it's an amazing forum. And I've gone on Dental Nachos, and I've seen the intelligent dialogue you guys have, and your commitment, because you don't have to do that. You don't, you can go put your, 40 hours a weekend or whatever it is, wherever you're doing right now in your career, and that could be it. And play golf on the weekends. But a lot of you in a different vehicle are doing what I did 39 years ago. I'm going to tell you something. What did it lead to for me? It led to me meeting really cool people. It led to the opportunity to have a speaking career. And it led to a killer practice. I mean, just killer. I mean, and you got a picture, flash forward 39 years later, I'm surrounded by corporate dentistry, surrounded by clinics, all of them much more inexpensive than me. Because I have a fee-for-service practice, a diamond in a rough, we will, and it's all the result of me investing in me.
And I'm glad you said that. I'm going to be doing a great live with someone who runs Sonny P, who runs the dental investment group. And dentists love talking about investing money, right? Yeah. So, that's always something exciting. It's not going to
sure.
What you're sharing is, you invested money and time early in your career and paid off forever in yourself.
Absolutely.
And, it's paying off yesterday from stuff you did back then. So I just am glad to point out that, the value of high-level CE early in your career when you couldn't afford it, right? There's no such thing as afford, and you just needed it. But one of the things, and it's difficult now because there is a lot of talk, and it's important talk about the student loan debt. But even back then, it wasn't just to have a killer practice, also to be happier in what you did.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Just think about it. All of us share the common thing, the common thread of we're dentists. As Paul says, we're dentisting, and that's what we're doing. And so we have these 8 hours a day, whatever it is, 4 days a week to do this thing called dentistry. Well, it's not by far just the money. The skill sets that I acquired, and many of them I can impart to you, is that allowed me to go in, think about it, every day into the dentistry world and do really cool stuff. I mean, you're never going to sustain your interest in dentistry by doing crown and bridge or fillings and stuff. And as Paul knows and I know, probably one of the things that saved general dentists is implant dentistry. And I tie that together with oral sedation, which has really saved my practice. Saving meaning I get people, to be quite honest with you, that are willing to go out and network.
And I guess pause for a minute too. We're just too, mad and sad talking about things. What's interesting to me is implants to me are one of the greatest advances in healthcare in the past 30 years. It changes lives. It allows people to, chew food And we have some sort of pushback from the dental community sometimes because we lose a natural tooth. And I just am here to say, because we both do implants, both can be good. I'm sure you're working every day and people are keeping teeth. And then I'm sure you're seeing patients who would be dentally have terrible lives without implants. So, I just think for someone who's on the, in the dental trenches doing it like the two of us, and especially you with what you're doing, that we should embrace cool stuff. We don't have that stuff to embrace. It's cool, and implants are one of them.
Yeah, and you only have so much time in your lives daily or money to say, what is it I'm going to learn and when am I going to learn? And it's very, It's very controversial to get up here and say, well, the first thing I wouldn't invest a ton of money in would be a long-term continuum, for example, in occlusion. Right? I know occlusion is important. Obviously it is. You need to have that in your repertoire of knowledge. But if I'm a young guy listening, or even a sad, mad, whatever, and I want to explode or change things, I'm going to see what's my big ROI, return on investment of my time and money.
And I feel like speakers can share tips and secrets. So you can repurpose this for your lecture. So we lecture a lot. Sometimes you're at a hotel room on a Saturday, or this is actually a Sunday, Steve, and it's not easy to get the crowd engaged, no matter how good you are, right? It's tough, right? Sure. You're walking in from Philadelphia, Sunday, it's 9 a.m. So I always say this, I say, raise your hand, if you would like to be happier, raise your hand if you would like to make more money, but keep it up if you want to work more hours. And I have a video of everyone doing this, so you can do it anytime you want. It's yours, you can share it. And it makes everybody laugh. And I have a video of them doing this, and it's very funny because you see 60 hands go like this. And I say, well, then you got to do implants because it's the only thing that we can do to make more money at the same time. So I joke, I say, oh man, I thought you loved dentistry. I thought Thursday at 4:00, you say, oh darn, not another class 2 composite. And it's a good shared moment amongst people who can complain. My wife has we have 2 young kids, and she has shared moments with her mom friends of how it's tough to be a young mom. And I think it's okay to have these shared moments of saying, you know what, that class 2 van flies across the room and you just say, I want to go live in the woods. And,
oh my God.
Implants just represent something I think positive for everyone. So I appreciate sharing that. I also want to touch on a couple of things because I wanted my audience to hear some right, Steve. So when you came to speak with us 6 or 7 years ago at Maggiano's, so one thing that you just shared was that you bolstered your clinical skills, right? You bolstered them, but let's use the NBA playoffs and if you're following the Sixers. Yeah. So, Ben Simmons is a great player, but he doesn't have a great shot right now. So he has to get a better shot. But Kevin Durant is pretty much the best player in the NBA because he's got it all. So you bolstered your clinical skills, but share with them how important it is to work on, bolster, free throw shoot your verbal skills. That's just something I've wanted so much.
Yeah, I did a lecture last night in New Jersey.
Yeah, tell us about that.
And a lot of young dentists came up to me afterwards and asked me, what's the main thing you think I should acquire in terms of my skill set? I said, the number one skill set that you need to acquire is case presentation. Because there's a lot of smart dentists, much smarter than me and all over the United States, academically brilliant, that get burned out and are struggling financially and every other way because they can't relate the value of better oral health to the patient in the chair. And that's a whole friggin' conversation that we need to have at some point in one of these videos because it's the way to learn it, the way to get better at it. Honest God, have a YouTube. If you're married or have a significant other, I'm not kidding. I would get a video of you presenting. That's something you can practice in your home.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to a course to do that. And you need to focus on key things like eye contact. I'm talking about with a new patient. Eye contact, and your number one energy should be trust. Not how smart you are, it should be, you can trust me, and I am competent enough to solve your situation in your mouth.
It's so important, and I speak about this a lot, and I had the opportunity to speak at Mark Costa's event, which was great, 700 people, and I always say, not only does dental school not teach you how to present cases, I wish it was just that. They also teach you how to be really weird because they teach you things. The words they teach you is, if someone is missing a first molar, they don't have fillings on either the teeth on either side. They teach you to call that a virgin tooth, which is just very uncomfortable to say to an 80-year-old woman on Tuesday morning. I really think it is. I say that all the time. So you say, tooth and restore it. So dental school believes that I love food and I love eating in Philadelphia, and I worked in the restaurant industry. I'm not a particularly good cook. My wife is. But dental school teaches you make better pasta, you'll be successful. That's not it. You got to be able to present the pasta, seat the guest, and they don't let you exercise and those muscles. So just like when they hack a Shaq back in the day to foul him, they knew that they could send that guy to the foul line, and you could be the best clinical dentist and be able to do all types of clinical work. If no one says I want to do it, you're stuck. And what I think is really, I like to point out positive things. And just sticking with implants, if you just become good at talking to your patients about the value of replacing teeth, you can refer the case to a periodontist place, and you can restore it. That's one universal thing. A first-year dentist, and someone 40 years in practice can both restore posterior implant. It's straightforward. So you can refer it to somebody until you do it. And you tell us a little bit about the implant courses you teach. I think it's really cool. It's right here in New Jersey.
Sure. So I have a very unique relationship with the state of New Jersey Dental Board. I went to them. I felt like I was in trouble when I was asking for this. I swear to God, I did.
Like the principal's office of dentistry.
Right? Yeah. I was there.
Like you don't want to be in there, right? No matter what. Yeah.
No, I was grilled and interrogated, went back and forth for 9 months. And I got approval about 3 years ago, that you can come in my office, whether you're in Pennsylvania, any state in the United States, and do live patient surgeries in my office. So I set up the whole thing. I bring the patients. I screen them, and I can set it up on any level for you, whether it's your first implant like Paul does, or it has abundant bone, or whether you want advanced training in sinus lifts or things like this. We also do an extraction course, which some of you who are listening, I know, have been to. And it's and that's where really a lot of implant therapy starts, what I call atraumatic extractions and site development. And it's just, we don't have enough time today, but the last course, that is October 4th and 5th?
October 4th and 5th of this year. So you can check that out on Steve's website. But a couple of things I want to point out here. So I'm very into collaborations, So you teach an implant course.
Yeah.
And I teach an implant course.
Cool.
But I'm sharing about your implant course to a lot of people because there's plenty of dentists who need help. So just like the dentist down the street is not stealing your patients, because there's plenty of patients, there's also plenty of dentists. And if we raise the game for everybody, it's just better for everybody. So this is just a good example of two people who do the same thing collaborating. But you said something important, which I would like to point out to the people listening. We have dental students, we have residents, learning how to remove teeth. I call it removing teeth because extraction is dramatic. Well, we can call it extraction status. But I say to the patient, we're going to remove the tooth, preserve the bone. Everyone wants to preserve something, the wetlands, whatever, right? So I say we're going to remove the tooth and preserve the bone. If you just learn how to do that, you've done yourself a tremendous favor as a young dentist for a couple of reasons. One, when a person needs an extraction, for whatever reason, fractured tooth, abscess, they're sometimes willing to see any dentist in the office. So when you're a new associate and you can offer that, the mad associate, the medium age guy, when I'm dealing with my IT guys and I'm dealing with somebody not coming in and say, you know what, my associate, Dr. Farrow, she can do that for you, right? But she's got to be able to do it. So that's the key. Yeah. So young dentists learn that. And when a GPR or AGD, that's why I find those to be so valuable, because maybe I'd like you to come to some of the programs I teach, ST. That's a whole year of extraction practice.
Nice.
And that is just the best way to just miss free throws, have somebody come and say, hold your elbow this way. And your course is great too. So I think, I encourage you to check that out, because placing implants there's a lot of parts and pieces to it. It's good, but just removing the tooth, filling the area with bone is a much more straightforward thing for someone to get into, I believe.
Well, imagine for a second being able to sit down 3 months from now on any tooth, other than wisdom, and I don't teach extracting wisdom teeth because I think it's a bad return on investment. There's too many dangerous things in the area, especially mid-neighborhood. And imagine not being freaked out about it. Imagine I got this.
Yeah.
Right? And then also imagine knowing, because there's so many biologic products, right? There's mineralized bone, demineralized bone, all kinds of membranes, knowing when to do and use what, because that's what we cover.
Yeah, I think that's such a great starter thing. And also to just bring it full circle with the treatment planning and discussion, the single tooth posterior implant is the most popular by necessity, not demand. No one ever comes in and says, I want it. But that has a few different phases. Remove the tooth, surgical guide or CBCT sometimes, place an implant, restore it.
Yeah.
But all you need to do to get the patient to do is remove the tooth and preserve the bone, and they can make a decision later. So that's why, to me, for young dentists, it's such a great piece of dentistry to get involved in, because it helps them. It can be productive. there's going to be more need for it, because I always say, like, why do, right now, Steve, I'm going to say I'm 41 years old, I have a few occlusal fillings. My daughters might never need to have a cavity in their whole life, right? But now we have patients who are living longer, and they're fracturing the roots on teeth that have been in their mouth for 70 years. Good job, tooth, right?
Yeah.
And we can replace them. So I think that's
fastest growing population in the world is 85 to 100.
Yeah, and I think we can help them. And they want their tooth. I just posted a case yesterday for my brother Jeff. This woman is just so cool. You met her. I mean, she's in her 80s and she talks like she's in her 40s. And she goes, I've never had a tooth come in my mouth. I'm not going to start now. Sure. And she got her sixth posterior dental implant. So one of the things, and this is our passionate topic, and we'll talk for another 10 minutes or so. We'll have more on this. But what's cool to me is someone gets 1 or 2 implants, then they're just easy to get more implants, because they say, oh yeah, I'll take the implant thing. And there's no talking about it, right? So, and these are on teeth. I have to tell the dental community, I do love the natural tooth more than my own kids, more than my own wife. It's the best thing ever. But I'm saying sometimes the natural tooth, it can't be maintained. Recently this woman, she had a root that was like only 5 millimeters in length. The crown had snapped off. We had no other choices for her. So to me, that's why I find implants to be so positive, because it's swooping in at a time, and this is your dentistry, where people would have partials.
Yeah, and one thing you viewers need to put in your mind that's never done an implant before, and Paul and I were talking just a few minutes ago about case presentation skills and all that stuff. The thing that gets patients to say yes, as I said earlier, is confidence. And if you haven't done one yet, you can't feel that. Yeah. But when you do one in his courses or mine or wherever you go, it doesn't matter, and you feel that confident, your patient the next time, 3 months from now, that's going to lose number 30, that needs an implant, and you've done that now. You've done it once, twice, 3 times. You're going to feel that, and you've got this. That's what's in your brain.
And what you say is, one of my favorites, I'm glad you brought this up, and I say this all the time, I'm on a mission to help dentists across the country place one implant, even if they never want to place it again. Because if you take a $5,000 or $6,000 course, and I've been teaching this course for 15 years, this has happened, 12 years, many of the dentists don't go and place implants, but their lives are changed forever. Sure. Because when they sit and look at that patient, they say, oh yeah, I did this. It's not open heart surgery. And their investment in themselves comes back 10, 20, 30-fold in their confidence, what you said, which is so important. So I encourage you out there. There's so many different courses, basic, medium, advanced, fly to other countries. I encourage you, wherever you are, to take a basic course. Don't be mentally committed to placing 1 million implants or not. Just take it and see what happens. The person who thinks they want to place implants is going to do it and might say, it's not for me. Still great, because they've done one. And then surprisingly, Steve, the dental mindset, they'll go and they'll say, I'm never going to place implants. And the next thing you come up 3 years from now, they're placing 100 implants a year. So,
Well, let's be clear about one thing. Paul and I both know a lot of dentists, and we know different levels of success. The dentists out there that are currently probably at the top of their game in terms of enjoying a great practice are guys placing implants. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. It's really hard to sustain long-term success just doing fat bridge.
And I have a lot of great specialists on the board here, and I know they have a problem specialist. I don't know if you know this, Steve. It's called beach house-itis. They don't have enough beach houses, so sometimes they need 3 or 4 beach houses. Just kidding, specialists who make $1 million a year. But I'm just going to say, I say this in 10 lectures, more breeds more. So the person placing implants in their practice is a general dentist. They become a wonderful referral source of bigger cases. I mean, I have friends who are general contractors who they know how to build a whole house. They can build a whole house. They go right down the street and build a whole house, but they don't lay their own foundation. They don't do their own electricity, because they know that it doesn't make sense all the time. So that's why specialists should embrace, I think, general dentists doing it, because we have millions of implant sites. And the key is to get the general dentist aware of bigger cases. And, if we took our students who placed implants, really, like, if you got to a mark of where you're placing 100 implants a year, that's a lot, right? That's good. You're doing very well. Very few people get that. But even if you're doing that, you could still refer 200 implants. There's these large cases rebuilding people's whole mouth. Even when I'm involved, I mean, we have an in-house periodontist, which I'm very lucky to have, and we're very close. So when that happens, this is my role. Steve, you're a good business guy. Is it lazy or efficient? Because I think I'm just efficient to incorporate him into the care. Because sometimes, like I said, I'm battling with something in the office. I say, Dr. Steve's going to place these 5 implants for your overdenture. But if you don't have someone in your office, you can share. I think it was a Mish quote. we have 130 million missing teeth, and we're replacing them at one point only like 2 million implants a year. So we got quite a bit of room, Dennis, to do that. So I'll talk for a few more minutes. A couple things I want to share with you. Tell us about your practice, Steve. And we have the Nacho crew out there. We're here to help. You're looking for an endodontist to join you. Tell us a little bit about that, because right now I go to teach, speak at the Temple Endo group, where they're a great group, Bruce Terry's group. I know a lot of Penn Endo people. There's a UMD&J program.
Sure.
This is the time. So tell us a little about this role as an endodontist in your practice.
Give me a possibility here.
Sure.
So I have my practice that I'm talking about, where I would need one of you, is in Southern Jersey. I live in Philadelphia, so I travel from Philly every day, 4 days a week. It's about 50 minutes for me to get there. So that's the drive from Philly if you're in that area. And I have a beautiful facility. I mean, it's 7 ops. It is ADEC equipment, drop dead gorgeous, Zeiss microscope, anything you need, we have. You can't do everything in life, right? I don't do any ortho. It's not into it. And yeah, I can do interior molar. Interior endos. I don't even need to do that. I would love to bring into our organization, and it is high quality. It is a fee-for-service practice, 90%. We have some insurance, but not much. And you have your own dental assistant. I don't know why people aren't knocking my doors down.
How many would it be like an every other week job?
Yeah.
Like what, 2 days a month?
Well, I had one for 20 years, but he left open at the same deal.
Yeah. I find that if you're a young endodontist, medium age endodontist, we had endo in office for years. It's such a great fit because the patients can keep up the momentum. They like staying in the same office. Sure. And it doesn't mean no endo ever has to be referred out, but there's an opportunity probably to do.
By the way, most of the patients we'll be working on are sedated under my permit. So they're orally sedated, so you're just walking into a snoring patient.
That is a good gig. And you mentioned something, they probably heard it if they're an endodontist. So if you're with my 4-year-old and you accidentally say ice cream, you're going to be getting her some ice cream, right? So she hears that. And you said something, you have a microscope in your office, right? So that if you have the microscope and the extra operatories and
a CT scan.
Yeah, so that is a great place to be. So with our last few minutes, I want us to kind of just shift gears. So on Sunday, Carol shared this, I'm going to do a course on dental nachos. It's a free CE course, your favorite price dentist. Okay, it's online, 2 p.m. on Sunday. It's going to be challenges facing. So the title of this, Steve, is the challenges facing the new dentist that all dentists should be concerned about. And I'll kind of set this up for you. So if you say, why should we, new dentists have a lot of debt, new dentists have trouble finding jobs, why should we care? Here's why I think we should care. A, they're our newest colleagues, right? We wanted help, so that's one reason to care. We could be genuine. But let's say even if you're not into being caring, let's say you're just out for yourself, I'll still tell you why you should care, because we have a lot of insurances in this world. And even if you're a fee-for-service practice, insurance still affects what you do.
Yeah.
And if you have a young dentist taking really bad plans like spoiled block PPO, and they have to take it to survive, I believe that's going to affect the other dentists in the mad and the sad category, because now the insurance companies might say, oh man, we got all these young providers doing this. We can just pull the rug out from the other ones, which has happened in some states, one of them our own. But, there's a lot of the landscape of what's happening with young dentists is challenging. So I'll set you up with, you're a young dentist, you have $500,000 in debt. You're going to go out into the world. You want a dentist. This is what you want to do with your life. Give us a little treatment plan. Tell us, this is what I would say. Embrace the reality. So you drive to Vineland.
Yeah.
King of Prussia, right? So we're sitting in Center City. So if I say to you, Steve, at 5 o'clock, drive out to King of Prussia, it's no big deal. You'll be sitting in traffic and say, that Paul Goodman guy really was not very nice, right? But I didn't tell you the reality. So I'd say, you know what, Steve? Go to Starbucks, relax, leave at 6 o'clock, you'll miss the traffic. So that's the reality of traffic. Right. So I'm not trying to be doom and gloom or overly positive. I'm trying to just share the reality with young dentists. So what would you do as a young dentist? I know you shared some of it. What challenges do you see that they're facing and how they can overcome?
There's no doubt what I would do. First of all, you'd hear me tell you, this is hard. The first part's not sexy. I'm going to tell you to try to keep your debts low. And when I say that, don't go out and buy a brand new car. This is going to connect to something else I'm going to say. Or a brand new house, because the banks will give that to you right now. They will. You don't need to do that. You need to hold on. You need to look at this next 4 years to right out of dental school like a physician would, because they don't go out and practice medicining, as we call it. They don't do that right away. So that's what you need to look at. That's how I would look at it. And you do need to invest in your skill from the very beginning because you're not prepared out of dental school. I don't care if you have to take a loan. You need to start, and they should email me. Can I get my email?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, give your email. Drop in the comments too.
It's my personal email. It's Dr. Rasner, Rasner at AOL. And I have a residency recommended where what you should take and where. It's thought out.
Oh,
it's
awesome.
not random. It's not like I have no agenda or connection with people under, right? So I will tell you like how much restorative should you take in the beginning, or how much occlusal versus.
That's a great tool. That's like me giving Nacho recommendations in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
You know, so that's good. So they can reach out to you to get this sort of treatment plan for young
It's
dentists.
literally the courses, the amount of money it is, and even the people that are giving it that are on there, they don't even know I'm doing that. So there's no agenda.
And put our email there too, Barrett, just so we can direct people if they don't get this. So you're saying keep your personal debts low.
Keep your personal debts low. And if you're going to invest, which I want you to do, invest in yourself early on. I mean, if I had an associate apply that really knew how to take out teeth, and I don't get that most of you don't, because they took a course somewhere, they would blow my mind, right?
And then you would that's so important. So how do you stand out? Some of the things I've talked about, making Loom videos, which we can help you with, where, instead of just sending an email to Dr. Rasner to apply, you can make a video saying, hey, I'm Paul Goodman. I did a 1-year residency. I really am looking forward to work in the Philadelphia, New Jersey area. Cool. And I can send you a video, right? So that's just an example of standing out, like you said, with the course. And the thing that I'll share from my end, and Steve touched on, you're saying keep your personal debts low. And I encourage them not to purchase a home, because when you purchase a home, you're very reluctant to move. It's emotional. And if I say, I got a good practice for you to buy 60 minutes away, they say, I already got a house. But if they rent, you're very flexible. So rent until you know where you're, because, Steve, how long have you been in your practice? 39 years or so? Yeah. So this is somebody who life has happened to both of us, and good things and not so good things, ups and downs, but your practice is there and my practice is there. Sure. So what I'm telling dentists is that is really the biggest decision of your entire life. And you want to be flexible. So Paul Goodman, the practice broker, says, I got a great practice out in Westchester, PA, and they bought a house, an hour and a half away.
Sure.
They're reluctant to do that.
Yeah.
And then also just, we can have more talking with Dr. Steve and Dr. Nacho, but that also is not great for the bank when they have a monthly expense that they can't get away from.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you can't get a loan. Nobody freak out. If you have a house, you can get a loan. This is what we were saying is keeping yourself agile.
Well, it fits in with what I said about the physician. Think of yourself as a physician. I'm sure the guys doing residencies, fellowships aren't buying houses right away. You should rent. That's a great freaking idea.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Yeah, so, well, this has just been awesome. We'll do more of these. We'll do a monthly segment. I like sitting here with you. I always learn something myself. Join us for more Nacho stuff. Steve has great stuff in his office. Check out his website. So thanks a lot, Steve.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, great. Awesome. Have a good afternoon.